Hey everyone, what's up? I'm Jack, this is Jill, and we're the Cynical Siblings. Today we're reviewing WandaVision, Season 1, Episode 7, Breaking the Fourth Wall.
Written by Cameron Squires and directed by Matt Shackman.
Yep, that is what it is.
All right. What are you drinking?
I am drinking Hook or Crook. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon, and I believe it's from California. You are not drinking wine.
No, I'm not. I am drinking New Holland's The Poet Oatmeal Stout from a Michigan brewer.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
Great.
Good winter beer.
So, spoiler free, what did you think of this episode, which has no spoilers in it at all?
Right. This definitely, very few plot points got hit, obviously.
Right, yeah.
Very few reveals.
No reveals at all in this episode. Very boring episode.
Right.
Nothing happened.
Right. Actually, in all honesty, I did really enjoy the mix of humor and drama in this episode. I felt like it was pretty spot on for me. How about you?
It's a good episode. As a Marvel Comics fan, I'm having some issues with the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say anything because we're talking spoiler free right now. So I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm okay.
Okay is okay.
That's right. It is okay.
All right.
So let's. That was all spoiler free. So let's crack into a real review here.
All right. Spoiler warning.
Yay! Spoilers.
Yeah. So I really want to talk about just the comedic duo that is Vision and Darcy. That was great. Really enjoyed that. I am seeing more of how they're using the changes in TV history thematically, and Agatha's theme song was the best ever.
Yeah, I did like the Agatha Harkness, Agatha All Along theme song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Agatha All Along. It was great, which that's the big reveal at the end of this.
Mm-hmm.
Agnes is actually Agatha Harkness, and she has actually been behind it all along, as the theme song says. So that's the big reveal here. Now,
she even killed Sparky.
Yeah, she killed Sparky. Now, a lot of people may not know who Agatha Harkness is. She is not a really well-known comic book character. She's not quite up there with the Spider-Mans and Captain Americas of the comic book world. So, right now in WandaVision, Agnes / Agatha Harkness looks something like this. However, when I was reading comic books, she looked a lot more like something like this. So,
how did you do that?
Magic. Whoa. I know, right? It's called I Learned to Edit More.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, images. So, Agatha Harkness first appeared in Fantastic Four number 94 in 1970. And she is the caretaker of Franklin Richards, which is the son of Reed Richards and Sue Richards, who are Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman of the Fantastic Four. So she was the nanny for the Fantastic Four, effectively. She was also an ancient witch who could remember Atlantis and was there for the Salem witch trials and had a lot of magical power, kind of akin to Doctor Strange.
So if she was the nanny for the Fantastic Four, did they just totally fail to get references, or is she not quite as evil?
Yeah, so this is where my issue is. In the comics, she's not necessarily good or evil. She's a lot more neutral, but she's really usually not evil. She tends to lean more towards the good side. So, at the end of this episode, we found out that she killed Sparky, and has manipulated everything. Yeah, I'm just not sure how to take that because she wasn't really a villain in the comics. Yeah, so that's weird.
Well, I mean, Billy does say that she's quiet inside.
Yeah, that was a really interesting point.
Yeah, so I don't know what that means, but it sounds like there's some kind of, I don't know, like she's not. My first thought with that before the reveal was maybe she's not a real person. She's some kind of, I don't know, golem or something. But now I'm wondering if there is actually someone behind her. Still, like, not to cling to a theory, or to a hypothesis, but, we've had the Ralph hypothesis going on. It hasn't yet been disproven. And so either MCU is going, like, all out evil with her, or there's still another layer behind her. I'm not sure.
Have you considered that Ralph might be the bunny?
I have considered that, actually.
Okay. I'm not the only one who's like, where's Ralph? I wonder if Ralph is the bunny.
No, you're not the only one. I dismissed it, but I did have, like, there was that moment.
The Ralph bunny moment.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm glad I wasn't the only one who's like, is Ralph the bunny?
Right.
That would be amazing and cool, but...
And then she walks down into the basement, like, holding this bunny and, like, stroking it like a cat, It was weird but funny.
In the comic books, she had a black cat. I can't think of its name, but I believe it would turn into a panther or something.
That's useful. That is a useful familiar.
Right, but I don't think the bunny does that.
Actually, if Agatha were somehow being manipulated by some ultimate force, and she had a really useful familiar, if it got transformed into a bunny, into a rabbit, that might be a way to neutralize it.
I guess. I mean, that's assuming that there's someone behind Agatha. I think there's only one episode left to this series.
Right.
So I'm finding it unlikely that there's going to be a bunch of additional, like, supervillain reveals. Since this one showed up so late in the season, we've been guessing as to who's really behind this. By the way, I just wanted to point out, like, not that we should gloat when we're right, but...
we're going to gloat when we're right.
We were right. It was not Wanda behind everything.
Oh, well, yeah.
When Monica Rambeau, is that the end of episode 4? Yeah, the end of episode 4 when she says... It's Wanda. It's all Wanda. Like, it's not all Wanda. No one says that in the middle of a series unless it's not true, because that creates a big reveal at the end where you find out it's not all Wanda. It's not all Wanda. There we go. It happened. We were right.
It was not all Wanda.
I mean, I'm not gloating, but we were right.
Yeah, we were.
In a completely not gloating sort of way.
Yeah. Zero gloating.
No gloating about how right we were. All right, so you were saying that you thought it was really interesting the way that they've used the themes of different periods of sitcoms to sort of help tell the story. How do you think that has sort of, changing the format of the episode every time? How do you think that's really kind of helped to create this storyline?
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to make it work in universe, why these broadcasts exist or anything like that. But I think thematically, jumping up and being a bit meta, early on, you and I were having a really hard time with the really cheesy, old school sitcoms that just aren't our style. And I think you and I had a little bit of a conversation about whether or not we today demand too much realness in our TV and in our movies, like we're always nitpicking the physics and the strategy and character development and all of those things, and we keep, as a culture, we keep demanding more. And I feel like that's a thing that's happening with Wanda. In the first episode, she's able to be in basically this fantasy land where everything is literally black and white. It's very clear, who the laugh track audience is rooting for. It's very clear what they need to do, which is to, keep the house tidy and get the promotion at work, and all of these things.
Yeah.
And so then as you move on, things keep getting more complicated with the twins and with everything else going on, with the drone, with this, that, and the other. And now we're getting to this point where we pretty much have a reality TV show happening. And so I think that thematically it really works to talk about first off, the dreamlike way that Wanda's been wandering through this world. And also what I suspect is actually a trauma response, where she's regressing into this fantasy world, and through reality, reality literally keeps infiltrating her fantasy world, and she has to keep dealing with that. And so it's sort of a way of dragging herself out of this this traumatized state that she's been in.
I think it's interesting that she believes, and by she I mean Wanda, believes that that she's the cause of all of this, but then she seems also to not be sure how she's the cause. In some of the episodes, she seemed really unclear how she was doing all of this. And then this episode, things keep changing, and she's not able to control it. I just think it's interesting that there's sort of this illusion of control. So no one really has control, maybe except for Agatha in this situation. I think it's really interesting how she's created this illusion of control for everyone, especially Wanda. Yeah, I find that fascinating, and how the sitcom series system, going through time, has started things out very lighthearted, and then as the series has developed, it's gotten a little bit more heavy.
Yeah.
A lot more detailed.
Yeah.
A little bit darker. And then it just keeps progressing. And I do agree. That does sort of seem to follow the trend of television. If you go back to those early sitcoms, they're just a lighthearted romp. There's really not much substance to them. But, as you move forward in time, it's, sitcoms started becoming very poignant somewhere, I don't know, in the 70s or 80s. It seems like they started becoming a lot more poignant. And I think, this show does sort of follow that theme. I think that is kind of a neat little parallel that they created there between how our TV history works and sort of how this plot line works.
Yeah, I mean, you get all the little things, like in the beginning, Wanda and Vision are both in these totally perfect outfits, and that's all you ever see. To the end, where Wanda can barely even get out of her pajamas. Just like things like that, we really never would have seen in that way, I think, in these older TV shows. And now, an audience just demands that we see it like it is, or get some kind of mirror to reality. Yeah, there's a whole lot to be said about modern sitcoms, current sitcoms, compared and contrasted to, say, reality TV. And a whole lot of themes just in that conversation that I'm going to just leave alone. So just to say, though, we've definitely had this trend toward wanting to get into the reality, and that is effectively pulling Wanda into reality. So I think that's kind of a cool thing that they did.
Another thing I wanted to bring up real quickly, Monica Rambeau has gotten her superpowers, or it appears that that's what's happened here. There's some little moments there where she's showing us she's got a little extra power now. She's moved through that energy field 3 times, and apparently third time's the charm. So it will be interesting to see her sort of explore and discover her own capabilities, I guess, in the last episode of this season.
Yeah, they're really bringing all the parties to show up at the same time. You know, whatever Hayward is going to do is going to happen that same day. Darcy's trying to get there. You know, Monica just ran into Pietro outside the house. Like, they're all, like, converging.
So, yeah, is, like, what is Pietro? Like...
Yeah, literally, what is Pietro?
What is going on with Quicksilver? This is, or, you know, what appears to be Quicksilver.
Right.
Yeah.
Is he some kind of, I don't know, I'm trying to think of, I don't know, like a voodoo doll or a golem or I don't know what else, what other words you would use.
Yeah, I don't know.
For magical entities that come to life. Or is he really him?
Yeah, is that Quicksilver? I mean, there's no indication in that last scene whether he's
one or the other.
One or the other, whether he's a good guy or bad guy right there. Except we do know that it's Agatha who kind of summoned him.
Right. But then again, I could make 2 arguments. One, if she's just evil, then he's some kind of like reincarnated zombie under her control. Or 2, she brought him in, but if she's being controlled somehow, it would be a way to get someone on Wanda's side under the guise of moving the plot along. I don't know.
Yeah, why doesn't he... it's really confusing. I'm really not sure what they're doing with Pietro. I'm really curious though what they do with him.
Yeah.
So,
now what are Photon's powers?
She can manipulate light. So she can also fly. She can shoot lasers.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool.
It is. I like the character.
Yeah. All right.
Electromagnetic manipulation?
Okay. It looked like she could see electricity or see electromagnetic fields.
Yeah, I assume that they're trying to show that she can see a much wider part of the spectrum than what we can see. I think that's what they're trying to imply in that scene.
Okay.
When she steps through the energy field, specifically she steps through Wanda's Hex energy field, and when she does, it shows the world sort of in a different set of colors, and you can kind of see the energy moving through the power lines. That's probably, their attempt to show how she can now see a wider part of the EM spectrum. That's my guess.
Now, what do you think is up with Vision not being able to leave the Hex without... He doesn't die, right? Like, he doesn't just go offline, which is what you would expect. But he literally can't leave the Hex, and he is, like, ripped apart if he does.
What do I make of that?
Yeah.
Besides the part where it's bad, I don't know.
There's that.
I don't know. I don't have any answer to that. We do know from this episode that Hayward was working on reactivating Vision, so there must have been some repairs to his system. But I don't know. Past that, I'm not clear what the writers are doing at this point. So I am just as much in the dark about that piece as I think everyone else.
Yeah, they are. I mean, there's a lot to wrap up in this last episode. It's gotten good, which I really appreciate. Like I said earlier, I love the mix of humor and drama in this episode. Vision and Darcy as a comedic duo are just awesome the whole time. Vision stopping the interview and being like, "This is absurd," and marching off.
I did like that.
Was great.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing, and Yeah, I'm just trying to think of how they could possibly pull this off. At the same time, they've pulled off a lot in each of the last few episodes, ever since episode 4. So maybe they'll get there. I don't know. I did want to point out where the hell are the kids? What the hell are the kids? So that's a thing. And also, I really enjoyed the tunnel that goes from the basement into
Yes,
the
yeah.
thing. Like,
Yeah,
I've
it's
had
so,
that dream, right?
It's so creepy. They did a really good job with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like something like out of a dream I had as a kid or something like that, where like you're in this basement kind of space and somehow it just keeps going and it's just really unsettling because it makes no sense.
It had a kind of gothic cathedral
Mhm.
look to it. There were
Mhm.
all the tree roots
Mhm.
coming, wrapped around everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, they did an excellent job of just making that seem very creepy.
Mhm.
I'm really enjoying the visuals that they've brought to this episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I think we've hit all the points. The one thing I would like to ask is what other folks think is up with Hayward and Vision. Like, we know he's trying to get him back online, but it kind of feels like there's something more to it than that to me.
And do you think Vision's actually alive, or do you think the reason why he couldn't really leave the Hex is because he's not really alive?
Right. Comment below.
Right.
Also, like and subscribe and all those YouTube-y things that you know how to do.
Yeah. Do that.
Yeah.
You should definitely like us.
Well,
And subscribe to us.
Uh-huh. Click the bell icon.
Yeah, do that too. All right.
All right.
This is the end
Episode
of
7.
our episode 7 review. All right, good
All right,
job.
cheers.
Cheers.